What's up guys, it's Lord Botha here with another video, and this video is all about the new big looter shooter that has come out, the First Descendants. Now I'll be honest, I haven't played the First Descendants. I was thinking about checking it out later, but I'm already quite weary from some of the things I've been hearing about it. And just taking a look at the trailers and taking a look at some of the gameplay, it looks like somebody tried to make Destiny while combining the art styles of Stellar Blade and Overwatch. Which I guess if you're into Destiny but with Overwatch looking characters in the style of Stellar Blade that has bigger asses and titties, then that might be your thing. And if I was still a preteen boy, I would probably really be into that. Especially if it was for free. Now, despite the fact that player numbers initially have been huge, there's been some controversies that have come out about the game, and we're going to go through them while looking at this article right here. This comes to us from IGN. The First Descendants' huge launch continues, as do the problems. The First Descendant has enjoyed a big launch, but it's also been marred by a number of issues that developer Nexon has continued to apologize and offer compensation for. Since the free-to-play co-op focused looter shooter launched, a long list of issues has emerged, including frame rate problems, the failure to deliver on promised items such as Twitch drops, and for some players the failure to deliver on items they've paid real world money for. That last one is a particular problem, seeing that a lot of cosmetic items that you buy in this game are one and dones, such as the painting of gear system. Apparently when you paint gear in this game, once you use a paint, it is gone. And the minimum for these cosmetic packages is $5, and there's a limited number of paints within these bundles. So considering that would be racking up a huge amount of money. And when those things don't arrive, you can bet that customers are going to be quite angry. And these are also not the only complaints that I've heard about. Crashes seem to be a big complaint about this game. I saw one review that said that he had crashed 3 times within 4 hours. The article continues, the latter issue revolves around a problem where customers have yet to receive items when they've bought the same item multiple times through the basket on Steam or PlayStation or Xbox platform stores. Developer Nexon issued an update on this mass caliber purchase error, promising a fix. In the meantime, it asked players to buy caliber items that are bought with the premium in-game currency that itself is bought with real money, individually, to avoid any inconvenience. For those who bought items from July 2nd through the 4th and have yet to receive them, these purchases will be cancelled, Nexon warned. The same measures will be taken for any further mass purchases until the error is resolved. We apologize once again for the inconvenience caused by this error. We're working diligently to fix the issue as soon as possible to minimize the inconvenience. Producer Lee Bom-jung published a developer chat to YouTube in which he thanked and apologized to players. In the video, the Nexon developer promised a hotfix that would optimize performance for the PlayStation 5 version. There is work on missing Twitch drop rewards, as well as a promise for gun sound improvements and crash fixes. Interestingly, Lee Bom-jung offered an explanation of sorts for the First Descendants' controversial third-party data collection and sharing policy that Nexon asked players to agree to before playing the game. The personal information sharing, one of the leading complaints amid the game's mixed Steam user rating reviews, is supposedly required because Nexon uses it to track what players are doing in the First Descendants in order to improve it. Lee Bom-jung insisted that Nexon does not use players' personal data rather than nicknames they choose. But that's not really the issue here, is it? People aren't really mad, I think, that their data is being sold to third parties. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that don't like the idea of their data being sold to third parties. But I think what people are more concerned about is the potentiality of this to give hackers a door into the local files on their PCs. We already know that Sony and PlayStation have a history of data breaches. It was the crux of the concern between Helldivers and leaking PSN accounts. I think at the end of the day, it's not really data selling that it's the problem here. I think it's the idea of people potentially hacking into other people's systems, stealing their identity, causing chaos, whatever they want to do once they get in there. There is no explanation for the First Descendants' ultra-aggressive monetization, however, which some players have described as microtransaction hell. And I will say this is a thing I saw across the reviews. It was people complaining that this thing tries to upsell you on everything. And as we all know, going to any kind of store, whether it's a tire shop or a quick dining restaurant, when you have people trying to constantly upsell you on things you don't need, it gets annoying real fast. And when they make every little thing extra, that quickly goes from an understanding point of trying to make an extra dollar to pretty much feeling exploitive. And I get that the game is free to play and they gotta make their money somehow, right? But maybe this points to one of the problems of this free to play system. And maybe they need to do a deep dive on player retention and acquisition when it comes to these free to play games and the microtransactions that are occurring in the game. Is there a link between aggressive monetization, microtransactions, and the retention of players? Because I think there is. And I think overuse of microtransactions definitely harms both player acquisition and retention. Despite all these problems, the First Descendant has enjoyed a big launch with a huge 239,513 player peak. I think I saw it actually on Steam numbers not recently. It crossed like nearly the 250 mark. That's enough to put the game in Steam's top 5 most played games. But it's safe to say that this game is not off to a great start. While the player base is high, it seems they have numerous problems that they need to fix. They have both optics problems and actual functionality problems. Because the microtransactions are definitely an optics problem. And the crashes and frame rate drops and not being able to get what you paid for, those are not just functionality problems, they're also optic problems. Now, players being sensitive about frame rate drops and crashes and bugs that kick you from missions, I don't know where players that play this game could be sensitive about that. I don't know where players have been influenced by the idea of being overpromised something and then not getting it. Because there's been no games in the recent memory that I know that have overpromised something and continue to underdeliver. Months and months past what they promised for. But as it stands, First Descendant has made a big splash onto the gaming scene. Their numbers are doing quite well. I'm sure they're raking in revenue even with some of the losses of having to issue refunds and having to manage their store in terms of what players can buy and the bundles they can buy due to these errors. I'm still sure they're making plenty of money. The problem is with, obviously, after sort of the Helldivers debacle with all the errors and things like that, and the general sense that modern games, even looter shooters like this, are quite buggy when they're first coming out. If they don't fix these errors and they don't get their shit together fast, there's plenty of games in this market space and they could find themselves out in the cold pretty fast. And if they don't figure this out, I could see them under 100k players pretty quickly, like within a few weeks. But that's just my thought on this. If you guys got your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you listening this long, and we'll talk to you again later.